Alright, guys, as some of you may know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've been searching all over Netflix to watch Dragon Ball episodes, but unfortunately, Netflix here just doesn't have them. But you know which version of Netflix does? Netflix Japan. Some of you might be wondering, how on earth am I accessing Netflix Japan, right? Well, that's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN is one of the top VPN services out there. It allows you to mask your location and browse securely, which is perfect for protecting your privacy. Plus, NordVPN can basically change your location to anywhere in the world with just a few clicks. So it's just as easy as that. That's how I'm able to access Netflix Japan and binge all of the Dragon Ball episodes that I can fathom. It's not just about watching international shows, however. NordVPN adds an extra layer of security basically as you're browsing, so your personal information stays safe and your online activity remains private. If you want to unlock more content and protect your privacy online, head over to nordvpn.com/Harariboy to get over 70% off a 2-year subscription plus 3 months free. And if you don't like it, you can cancel within 30 days and get a money back guarantee. It is worth the peace of mind and extra content you'll have access to. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Harariboy Podcast. I'm your host, Harariboy. And as always, a lot of things happen, and I have a lot to cover with y'all today. So for today's topics, we will be going over what the economy will look like post-election, what is going on with Bitcoin and whether or not you should invest, stock market soaring post-election. Then I want to discuss whether or not the baby steps change due to the Trump winning the election. And finally, we will go over the grind, how Gen Z still feels behind their peers. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so for the first topic here, I definitely want to nail down what the economy will look like post-Trump winning the election. Whether you're going for one side or the other, one side did win, and let's unpack what that will exactly look like for you guys. I did see a report come out from CNBC. I feel like they did do a pretty good and fair analysis of what to expect in the economy. There are some corrections and comments I want to make throughout. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in.
The president-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, is set to inherit the world's leading economy.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
On the campaign trail, he offered many ideas for the future.
Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. We will drill, baby, drill.
In reality, President Trump has quite a great deal of discretion on how he acts, especially with a Republican Congress.
I don't think this is just going to be a magic wish list of everything that Trump wants.
So, what's in store now that Americans have cast their vote? Many Americans voted with their wallets in this election. Consumer prices have increased over 20% since February 2020.
I bet most Americans under the age of 45 or 50 have never experienced inflation until this last episode. And I don't think they realize that would basically take a recession, even a depression in the United States, to restore the price level to what it was in 2019.
Yeah, so there you have it. I mean, that's what this election really boils down to. The number one topic on top of everyone's mind is the economy. I mean, even if you're not into politics or anything like that, the economy is usually reason enough for you to vote, right? That's really the major piece that actually affects our lives. So the great economy means more jobs, more time, more ways to prosper, things like that. And, pretty much people sit out for the other issues as well. So
managing prices in the United States is typically left to the Federal Reserve. The Fed's policies affect the cost of borrowing money. which in turn influences how likely you are to get a job or afford rent. President Trump may look for more control there.
I've made a lot of money.
So yeah, before they continue on with that, I do want to say that this is especially true with zombie companies. So definitely when you work for a company, make sure they're not a zombie company. What a zombie company is that they're pretty much over leveraged in the amount of debt that they take out. You definitely want to work for a cash flow positive corporation company. I believe, Dave Ramsey is a very good example of that. His company is completely cash flow positive, never takes out debt. So all of this is like completely irrelevant to him. But there are many zombie companies out there, and rather than, letting the economic effects take place, they just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing to make their payroll. And this is when things get really messy. So let's keep listening here.
Money. I was very successful, and I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman.
A politicized central bank is generally associated with higher rates of inflation, and it ends up hurting the U.S. and it actually ends up benefiting the rest of the world because you essentially get capital outflow from the United States.
Trump getting involved with the Fed will certainly spook people and investors to a certain extent. Wouldn't surprise me if you see, the replacement in 2026 when Powell's term as chair is up.
Trump has other tools to help Americans out financially. One idea.
No, that's very interesting. For the longest time, people have been saying the chair can't be fired or anything like that, and they would have to voluntarily step down. I'm curious to see when the term is up in 2026, what exactly would happen then.
Idea called for leaving about 93 million Americans off the hook for at least a portion of their federal income taxes.
I think when he proposed eliminating the income tax and just having tariffs, there was sort of like an oh my gosh moment for everyone. And we've seen this with Trump before, right? He throws out this really bold idea, but then by the time it actually starts getting implemented, by the time he's talked with more people about it, you see it kind of transform.
Americans received a tax cut during Trump's first term, but that tax cut is set to expire in 2025.
I think Republicans pretty much across the board do want to see a lot of what was in that 2017 tax package expanded.
To pay for those cuts, Congress will have to shuffle things around. They may consider ending the tax.
In other words, people don't like paying taxes. What a surprise. Let's see what that does to the government as a whole.
Exempt status for municipal bonds or dial back healthcare spending. Without cuts, it could add to the national debt.
When you saw this pass in 2017, it really did add to the deficit, and there is a chance that it could do so again.
By 2030, federal debt could amount to over 125% of gross domestic product, or GDP, which is a measure of the country's entire economic output.
So, yeah, that's not a good thing. Adding to the debt, making the U.S. go further and further in debt could have an impact on the economy overall. I believe after looking at some of the policies Trump is proposing, he definitely doesn't just want to give tax breaks. He wants to replace taxes as a whole from, some of the things he put out. For example, he wants to get rid of income tax as a whole and replace it with tariffs. So bringing in a revenue stream for the government that doesn't put a burden on its people. So let's see how that is implemented, or if that gets implemented. That will be very, very historic on the American economy.
Another option, increase economic growth by loosening regulations that impact industries like oil production, airlines, banking, and tech.
Deregulatory process is something that probably will be pointed to as the most potential influence. The economy is so many things in so many places that's open to so many foreign influences that the extent to which Trump alone and his White House alone can shape that, I think, is often overstated.
Fair point.
Trump has also called for tariffs of 10 to 20% on imports arriving in the United States and a higher tariff on Chinese goods.
The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff.
The goal of those tariffs is to generate revenue and bring industrial jobs back to the United States.
Ironically, this would not promote a revitalization of the industrial sector. Those sorts of things will raise the prices of all kinds of industrial inputs. And so that will make it harder to produce industrial products in the United States. It will also
So I don't necessarily agree with this point. I know there's a lot of people on both sides, conservative and the left, that kind of oppose tariffs. They're afraid it's going to raise prices, but I believe tariffs are a good thing if implemented correctly. I believe Trump's philosophy or plan that I read about for what he's trying to implement is alongside with tariffs, tax incentives. So, you'll get a tax break if you keep your company here within the US, and you'll be charged a tariff if you go overseas. I think the mythology with that is that the tariffs will just be burdensome to the point where it'll negate any financial savings they would make by shipping the jobs overseas. So most companies will be smart enough and say, hey, I'm paying cheaper labor here in America because I have to, I can pay less taxes. If I go overseas, I have to pay tariffs. So, obviously, business is not personal. They always make the most financially sound decisions. So if they have to keep their companies here, they'll keep their companies here if that's more financially feasible. So I believe that's what Trump is intending to do with these tariffs, and just try to create like a more business-friendly environment here in the U.S. because it hasn't been in for a while now, and that's why a lot of these companies ship their jobs overseas to where they can, flourish and or pay less in labor and things of that nature, material and stuff.
also tend to push down investment.
Those tariffs could also lead to higher prices for shoppers.
The impact on different levels of household income is pretty dramatic. And, these kinds of taxes, tariff taxes, are extraordinarily regressive and hurt lowest income families the most.
The tariff policy is expected to weigh on both small and big businesses. The president-elect's promise.
Yeah, so just to reiterate on that point before they go to the next point here, they're just looking at it very one-sided, just from the tariffs perspective. But again, those first 2 points, cutting taxes and tariffs, kind of go hand in hand, and without one or the other, it's a plan that's bound to fail. That's why the reaction is the way that it is toward tariffs. But I think if implemented correctly, it should balance out in the market. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the what to expect in the U.S. economy currently. They go on to talk about many other various points here, but I believe you guys get the gist. It's really tax related and reducing inflation, things of that nature. But we'll revisit this point in regards to the economic changes now that Trump won the presidency, what that can mean for you, and if anything changes. So the last topic we will, or should I say second to last topic we. All right, so now for our next topic here, we have Bitcoin. Yeah, so a lot of people around me, a lot of people I've talked to, their Bitcoin is a very popular thing. If you ever watch Dave Ramsey, he always speaks up against it, and for good measure, he's basically trying to teach you the risk-averse way of investing, so that way you don't, bet all your apples into one basket. Bitcoin is not debt, so it's I guess it's a good investment if done correctly. In your portfolio, what Dave Ramsey teaches, what I also teach is don't invest more than 10% in it. If you're gonna have it in your portfolio, first of all, the four things you should have in your portfolio, aggressive growth, I believe growth in income, international, so that all makes 25% a piece, right? Now, some people don't like international, they want to substitute that with other things that might gross them more. The reason why Dave Ramsey says invest in international markets, and we just saw this in the recent inflationary period that we just had, international markets usually do well when in a down economy here domestically. That's always been the case for the past 100 years, but I understand people don't want to wait for a economic downturn for their to see that, part of their portfolio grow. So what they do instead is, for a more immediate term, they'll invest in like single stocks, Bitcoin, stuff like that. Bitcoin has shown a lot of promise in the past, but it's still too early to say what it's going to be. Everything's speculation. Bitcoin is not one of these only coins in cryptocurrency world. A lot of them have failed. It's a lot of research. It's almost like day trading. But if you have throwaway money that you can just burn away or throw into the trash can, it's a very good investment for that. I mean, just throw your money away at it, and if it hits, it hits. If you lose, then you're not really losing much, because it's a very negligible amount of your portfolio. So that's how I want to set you guys up for success here. They're going to talk about how Bitcoin has surged in recent time. And it has been down for quite a while now. So a lot of Bitcoin enthusiasts are really happy about this, but just buyers beware. So let's go ahead and take a look at this surge and go from there.
Bitcoin hitting an all-time high above $75,000 earlier this morning as Donald Trump wins the White House. The cryptocurrency now hovering just below 74,000. Joining us now, we want to bring in Brady Dale, Axios crypto reporter. Brady, it's great to have you back here on set. We spoke not too long ago talking about the implications of the election, what ultimately it means for the crypto market, a crypto sector moving forward. I'm curious, as we heard time and time again from President-elect Trump, that he wants to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. What does that look like?
Well, I think the first thing is probably he's going to get a new SEC chair, someone else who is not going to be quite so hostile to the industry, isn't going to sue all of the best companies in the space. And I think on that question is just what happens to all these lawsuits and threats of lawsuits. Do a lot of settlements happen? Do they just get thrown out? Because these companies need to know that they can move forward. So I think that's the first thing. He's also said he wants all the Bitcoin to be mined here in the U.S. That might be a tougher task than he can pull off, but maybe get some more of it here. So that would probably please the American miners.
Yeah, indeed. We might see a lot more bathhouses like we've seen in Brooklyn pop up.
That's right.
Instance. Yeah, exactly. All these things considered, it seems like there was a growing bipartisan move as well to create a Bitcoin reserve. What's the reality that we see both sides of the aisle actually come together over that?
Yeah, the Bitcoin reserve. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I mean, as Trump pointed out, they could start it really easy by just not selling all the Bitcoin that they have. Will they start to buy more is, I think, a much larger question. That's super risky. But yeah, folks on both sides of the aisle are at least tentatively interested in doing it. So I guess we'll just have to see. But it looks likely that the U.S. isn't going to sell the Bitcoin that it seized for some time.
Brady, it's so interesting, and a great point that Brad brought up, just about the fact that we saw bipartisan support, it seems like, from Harris and also obviously from Trump when it comes to the future of crypto within the country. I'm curious then, why are we seeing such a surge this morning under a Trump victory? Talk to us a little bit more about that correlation.
Well, Trump was the only one that was really clear about it. I mean, Harris only spoke to cryptocurrency one time at one speech, and it was really vague. Whereas, I watched Trump in Nashville say, Bitcoin's going to go to the moon if you elect me. That's a much clearer statement, And so I think that's really it. He said things that he will and won't do, whereas we never got that from Harris. So markets like certainty, and they like that they've given him answers ahead of time.
Do you think the crypto market's confident, though, that he's going to follow through on those promises? Because that's a whole nother question, right? Just how realistic some of those promises are.
I think they're confident. That doesn't mean they're right, but I think they're confident.
Yeah, anybody that says that they're going to send something to the moon, I mean, many people would largely question if they single-handedly could do it or enact policy. So it's going to come down to other elements of the businesses that you were mentioning as well that are looking to scale up and make sure that they can woo potential crypto investors and holders in the future. It's going to come down to potentially the utilization. Is there anticipated to be any major movement in utilization of crypto, which would perhaps give it more of commonplace within the transaction vernacular for many people who don't already engage with it?
Well, I mean, around the world, it is being used more and more all the time. I mean, there's tens of trillions of dollars of volume in stablecoins, which are hands down, the most successful product that the crypto world has made. And if the United States, passes some laws making it clear how stablecoins can be used and how they can be deployed by U.S. banks, that only is going to send that market higher. So I think this idea that no one's using it is a little bit of a misunderstanding here in the U.S. We're not using it, right? But a lot of folks around the world are actually using this technology, and I think it's going to sneak up on us and it's going to be everywhere pretty soon.
But a central bank coin versus using what is the largest market cap coin in Bitcoin, I mean, isn't that starkly different than in trying to boost the value of Bitcoin versus boosting the value or the usability or fungibility of some of the digital currencies that are U.S. or even any type of central bank backing as well?
Oh, well, a central bank currency is a whole different question. I was just talking about stable coins, so like privately issued stable coins. I think, and that's going to move a lot more quickly than big central bank digital currencies. That's a big question mark out there.
All right.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, a lot of speculation. Doesn't really no certainty whatsoever which way this can turn or where it's going to go in the future. Again, invest your throwaway money, not your life savings by any means, and see what it does. Yeah, there's not really much to say about it because, again, it's one of those riskier investments that you shouldn't bet your life on. But yeah, that being said, that brings us to our next topic. The overall stock market surging. Along with Bitcoin, we did see Tesla, with Elon Musk and, joining the fray and everything like that. Nvidia, a lot of stocks just soared overall, and stock market, had a down year for the most part of the year. But I think, the Dow Jones Industrial Average really climbed. It allowed, I believe, Nvidia recently into its portfolio. The S&P, I think, rose pretty high as well, and everything is just looking good overall. So let's take a look at what these experts are saying and react to it.
All right, stock markets surge on the news of Mr. Trump's victory, closing sharply higher on Wednesday.
Yeah, the Dow Jones logged its best day in 2 years, while the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ also hit record highs. This morning, U.S. markets are set to open slightly higher as investors await the latest interest rate decision from the Federal Reserve.
Joining us now to talk about all this, Investopedia's editor.
So I believe this was shot, right after election. So the interest rate update still hadn't been hit. But now we know that I believe he rolls it down even lower. I don't remember if it was a quarter of a point or half a point this time again. But it's definitely going down in the downward trend. I don't believe he's going to raise it anytime soon. Looks like we're going to have, hopefully the soft landing that they were looking for.
Chief Caleb Silver. Caleb, good to have you with us. So these are astronomical numbers. The markets were already riding high. So why did Wall Street react so positively to this election result? How much of it is we had uncertainty, now we have certainty?
I can tell you right now. Markets love certainty. I mean, because they feel comfortable with the election results in where this country is going to go and then where the economy is going to go. I mean, it doesn't mean they're always right, but that certainty definitely is a trickle-down effect in the whole stock market. So we'll talk about that a little more here. Let's keep watching.
How much of it is Trump won?
Yeah, I think it's both of those things. This didn't drag on for days or weeks, and having that certainty of knowing who's going to be in the White House and what the makeup, at least of the Senate, looks like, has been a pretty bullish signal for a lot of investors. And part of that is because of the promises that Trump made throughout his campaign, which is extending those tax cuts from 2017. Remember, that lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. He intends to keep it there, maybe even take it lower. He's promised lower taxes for some companies. There's that, of course. There's a lot of spending being talked about through his administration, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's for defense, whether that's for deportation. So government spending also pretty bullish for stocks and for companies. But also, if you think about some of these other policies, making things in America, how he's going to maybe undo the CHIPS Act, maybe reform the Securities and Exchange Commission, less regulation. All of that is bullish signals for investors who are looking for clarity. They have it now.
We know the economy was a top issue for voters in this election. We heard it time and time again in polls in the recent future, in the not so recent future, in the recent past and the not so recent past. Among his proposals, Mr. Trump talked a lot about tax cuts, and we also have heard a lot about tariffs on imported goods. Tell us about his plans, how they might impact the consumer, and when anything like that could start to happen once he takes office.
Well, Trump has talked about imposing a 20% across the boards tariff as soon as he takes office. That is.
Yeah, so we already discussed. There's no need to rehash that. But yeah, essentially, the markets are looking good. Stocks are looking good. So there's all the more reason for you to feel confident, right? But do not feel too confident. The reason why I say that is going to lead into our next topic here. Well, the title of this video from Dave Ramsey that they're discussing is "This is how you should react to Trump winning the election." The title of this segment is, should the baby steps essentially change at all now that he won? I'm going to save my answer for the end of this segment here, but let's go ahead and take a look at what they are saying.
Joe, because relationships are hard and you want healthy relationships. Because if we don't have a healthy relationship, we have nothing. And so that's why you're here, and that's why we are here, is to help you get that freedom, Jade. So I want to give it to you.
That's why I voted for you, Ken.
Add your thoughts, because you understand the situation as well.
Hey, I mean, well put. Well, Ken, you were created for this moment. Very well put. I think it's an opportunity for both sides to just be magnanimous and be a good winner and a good loser, if that's whatever side you're on.
And begin today to focus on what you can do.
Yes.
Which is what we preach here. What can you do to make your life better? And to that end, we want to hit on some of the fundamentals here, because we believe that no matter who's in the White House, you can control the things that happen in your house and ultimately your life, Jade.
Listen, truthfully, the blueprint doesn't change regardless of who's in office. The good news is that what we teach is kind of based on principle, and principles don't change. And so the baby steps don't change. And so just a reminder, especially for those who...
Bingo. There's your answer. Baby steps don't change. So a lot of times when things are going really well, like when you're winning, let's say you're playing soccer or basketball or something, your team is winning really, really high, like you're blowing them out by 20 points. Then all of a sudden they start getting hot and they start coming back, and it's all because you let your guard down. You thought you had everything in that bag, and now you're down and you're about to lose. So not saying that anybody's going to lose in this economy at all. I'm not going to fearmonger at all about that. I'm just saying it's always good to always prepare for the worst, even in certain times, prosperous times. That's the time when you have to pile on in your investments, really start taking advantage of that good environment before it's gone, because we live in a democracy. Every 4 years things are bound to change, right? Depending on the will of the people and all that stuff. And I'd rather you guys be prepared for the economic uncertain times rather than goof off in the economic prosperous times and have to suffer for it later. Like during the Trump years, I remember in like 2016 through 2020, with all the stimulus checks going out and stock market surging, a lot of people became millionaires during that period. And then what happened right after the election? Inflation started skyrocketing. People had a hard time affording things, and all those millionaires started to disappear. And that's because of what I'm just telling you. So don't ever feel too comfortable to where you don't even have to work as hard anymore. Still keep that urgency. I think Dave Ramsey calls it gazelle intensity. Still keep up with, keep investing. Now you'll probably have more money to invest. Who knows? Into the stock market. Let it grow, and then you'll pretty much never look back, and you'll pretty much prosper, hopefully. But let's keep watching here. She does break down, how much you would have in retirement if you were to invest. accordingly right now. So yeah, definitely going to the news. Let's take a look there.
Who are maybe new to our show, or maybe you just need to brush up because you've been freaking out in your mind a little bit. Let's bring it back for a second.
I like this.
All right. So baby step one, you still need $1,000 saved. If you don't have it, get it. It's going to make you sleep better at night. You're going to be ahead of 56% of Americans if you get out and get that $1,000 saved. Baby step two, let's start focusing on our debt. The lowest possible rung of that ladder is just to decide that you're not going to borrow any money anymore. And so let's not make the problem worse. Maybe you don't feel like you're in a situation to start paying it off, but at the very least you can say, well, I'm not going to borrow anymore. Okay. And then once you move past that step, start paying it off using the debt snowball. And then baby step three, let's start saving up some savings. 3 to 6 months is what we recommend. That's a fully funded emergency fund. And let me tell you something, Ken, when you have that, then things start to get good. You start to feel a lot better.
That's that margin. That, by the way, that's where that emotion of freedom pops in with that emergency fund, doesn't it?
It does, because you kind of go, no matter what hits, I feel prepared.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have that preparedness. And then baby step 4, let's start investing. You start investing for the future. This is preparing you for a time when maybe you won't work, because that time will hit all of us eventually. So we're investing 15%.
All right. Hey,
see, yeah, there you go. Invest for the future. Never look at the past.
Got to jump in because you're the queen of this.
What?
I want you to give a real example. Maybe get your investment calculator. I didn't prep you for it.
That's all right. Come on.
Come get your calculator, because I'm going to set a scenario up, because I want people to get this. What Jade's talking about is, let's say that you're in your early 20s, Jade. I'm going to give you a scenario. So take somebody early 20s.
Yeah.
Maybe they're fresh out of college right now. First job, first presidential election. Let's make it real.
Okay.
And they're going, what does this mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go, come on, just pay attention to the baby steps right now. And they got a good job. And let's say that they have no debt. Or they're thinking, okay, if I follow what Jade says, I'm going to start entering. I'm going to start putting some money in.
Okay.
You create your own scenario of what baby step 4 really looks like for every American. You take it away.
Okay. So let's pretend. I mean, set me up better than that, Ken, because I don't know exactly where you're going.
Okay, I'm sorry. So let's say we've got a 27-year-old.
Okay, so I'll put 27 in the calculator.
All right.
Okay.
And let's say that they can put that they're in baby step 4.
Okay.
Or that they see, what would it look like in baby step 4? Let's put it that way. You're not there, but you go, okay, what if I could put away, let's say 15% on a salary of, I'm going to make this up. Let's say we're to put away $2,000 a month.
$2,000, that's a lot.
All right, go 1,000. I told you, you're the queen.
Let's
$1,000.
Let's do 500.
See, this is why I defer to you. You're the queen.
Well, let me see what I'm going to base it on. I'm going to base it on the average salary, which is $67,000.
Like what you're doing.
And then I'm going to say 15% of that, which, because we take it off the gross, which is $10,000.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to divide that by
12 months. I love it.
And that's going to be $837. Right. So we'll do that.
There you go. And to be fair, I threw this on her. But
that's okay.
You see where we're going?
Yeah.
I want people to not just hear that. I want them to see what you're about to do.
The idea is that you've not had anything in retirement up until this point, and so you say, okay, I'm going to start doing that. And lo and behold, you retire with $4.1 million.
Okay, there it is. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Wow. Just wow. Yeah. Essentially there it is. I mean, people love to live for the present, they don't care for the future. They're like, I want to get rich now. I want to get rich now. But if you just invest a negligible amount, which for some people 800 is probably negligible amount, whether it's per month or whatever, or even 100, 200, just invest something that you just don't care about, like just put it in there, and then it'll start growing and it'll start growing, and then when you become retirement age, I mean, if push comes to shove, you don't have to wait for Social Security or worry about Social Security and what will happen to that and stuff like that. You'll actually have a real investment waiting for you there. Now, I do look at my analytics sometimes, and here and there, she just said 27-year-olds. Most of my viewers are currently 25, between the age of 25 and 35. This is the time to invest in your 401k, Roth IRAs, whatever the case might be. Although we are Muslims, so just make sure when you're investing in your Roth IRA, not to get an interest-based one, but we'll talk about that in another episode. But yeah, definitely max out your 401k as soon as possible, get out of debt, and you'll pretty much prosper like this. Like, even if you just do whatever you want, like invest in Bitcoin, a negligible amount, like I said, just try to get rich now if you want, but definitely don't forget about your future. Like always keep that money going, keep that money investing, because you'll be very, very surprised as to what it does for you later on. People are like, when I'm old, I don't want to become rich when I'm old. Like I can barely move. Well, you're still living, and the last thing you want to do is be a burden on your children, right? I mean, hopefully, God blesses us all with pious children that respect us and everything like that, and won't mind taking care of us. However, that is not a backup plan. You need to always invest for your future. That way, when your kids see you successful, they will in turn become successful. So yeah, don't just write off your old age as if like, oh, it's better to have money in your old age than to be broke in your old age. I mean, both of them are going to have a set of problems, but you rather have rich people problems than poor people problems, especially at that age when you can't go back to work. Let's keep watching the rest of this, and yeah.
So the dream is the dream is alive and well.
All right, keep going. Baby step 5. I'm sorry, I interrupted
That's
your
okay.
rhythm, but I like that.
I like that. People need to see that the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. You got to do the work. All right. Baby step 5. Now you're saving for your kids' college and you're getting them into education, which is good. Baby step 6. Let's pay off that home early, Ken.
Wow. That's
a real
game changer when that happens.
Yeah. And by the way, we have a really cool stage here at Ramsey Solutions.
Yeah.
It's the debt-free stage.
And we'll talk about this in future episodes as well, but 5 and 6 can be done simultaneously. You don't have to do them in order. If you want to pay off the house first before investing in kids' college, by all means do that. Kids' college, according to Dave Ramsey, is a privilege, saving the money for their college is a privilege, not a right. I surely do not have any types of funds like that. When I went to college, I had to literally work my way through, but ultimately made me more of a stronger, more persevering person as a result. So, there's nothing wrong with working your way through schools. If you guys do choose that for your kids, it will definitely, prepare them for their futures. But if you just want to give them comfortability as well, so they don't have to worry about anything, they have a car method of transportation that's very reliable, doesn't have to be a new car, but, something very nice that can take them from point A to point B without any headaches. And then, them just having college fund. And guess what? If they're a really good student, they'll get scholarships. And if they get scholarships, they can pretty much do whatever you want them to do with the remaining money that they have for their college. So you want to create that cushion for them, but only after your 4 walls have been taken care of. So keep that in mind.
People come in and they tell us when they become debt free and they scream with, just that intensity. And half the time they've also paid off their mortgage as well.
So true.
And so this happens every day. And then baby step 7 is living and giving like no one else. This is us prioritizing generosity because it's such a foundation of everything we teach here.
Yeah. That's huge. I mean, even Islam teaches us, tells us, probably the best investment you can make is sadaqah, charity, helping the needy, the poor. A lot of times we don't unfortunately look at it as a investment. We look at it as a deficit, which is probably the wrong way to look at it as a whole. So we really need to shape our minds, because the more we give, the more Allah will bless us with more money. Not only that, sadaqah has a lot of benefits as well, protects you from a lot of things. So you're getting Allah's protection as well as blessings, inshallah. So that being said, give as you invest, once you're in baby step 7, try to give as much as you can, more even. A lot of people give 30%, 20%, 10%, whatever the case might be, maybe even half their income, maybe even more. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with. But just know, anytime you give to charity, it's never gone. It always comes back to you even more. So
Usually your why lives in baby step 7.
Come on. So here's what we want. Jay did a masterful job of laying out the fundamentals that lead to financial freedom. There's more. Our team has put together a great blog post. It's in the show notes. And here's what's going to encourage you. Emotionally, it's going to encourage you that no matter how you're feeling about who's going to be in the White House, you can take all that stress and worry and put it into steps to actually take control of your life. And we are here for you 5 days a week, cheering you on. Go get the blog. It's a deeper dive from what Jay just did, and it's going to really equip you, not just encourage you. Create.
I definitely recommend that blog as well. Go ahead and check it out. It'll definitely go into more depth than what I covered here today. But in essence, that's what it is. The baby steps or whatever you have to do is not really going to change no matter who's in the White House. You're always going to have to follow the baby steps verbatim. And the nice thing about the baby steps is that they haven't changed over the past 30 years. Dave Ramsey has been teaching them. They've been very consistent and have consistently 100% of the times shown a success rate. So there you have it. That is it when it comes to your financial future. Now let's talk about epidemic that is happening with Gen Z, Gen Y, the younger generation that are taking over for the boomers, parents, and everything like that. This innate feeling, essentially, so this caller is going to call in Dave Ramsey show and basically, feel like he's behind. I mean, you see it right there in the title, like he's not happy even though he's making $400,000. So they'll break it down why that is. But essentially, John Deloney, who is essentially a counselor or I believe counselor. He basically works with people to overcome anxiety, depression, things like that. And essentially, he will break this down and say, "Hey, you're not feeling happy because you're comparing yourself to others." So let's keep watching here and see what they say.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
I was calling in because I just I do pretty well. I do pretty well compared to everybody else, and I just feel like I'm stuck. Like,
what does that mean?
Ambitious guy.
What is pretty well compared to everybody else?
I make probably close to $400,000 a year.
Okay.
And
that puts you in the top 1% of any human who's ever existed in human history.
Yeah, I guess I'm just like an ambitious person, and I kind of feel stuck. Like I don't know what to do so I continue to grow. I've done a couple of different things, and they didn't pan out very well, and I failed at them. I've done a couple other things that did well.
What do you do for a living?
I've learned. So my main income is I own a restaurant, and then my other couple of things I do, I also own a lube, and then I also do real estate.
A what?
Or real estate?
No, the one before that.
A lube, a quick lube.
Oh, okay. Now, I didn't know the industry lingo. Okay, that helps me.
What's a quick lube?
Yeah. But the main
oil
source of
change.
income
Quick
is the
lube.
restaurant.
L-U-B-E.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about those sleds that they have at the bobsledding thing.
I thought you were like talking about you were like French and you owned the Louvre Art Museum.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Fancy.
All right. So okay. Sweet.
So successful entrepreneur.
Yeah. Which one of these is your main breadwinner?
Yes, the restaurant.
Okay. And what's your question?
My question is, how do I continue to grow? I've experienced a couple of failures in the last couple of years with opening new businesses, and they didn't turn well. I don't really understand like Roth RHAs and all that kind of stuff. Like my concept has always been invest in stuff. And
what do you
that'll
mean
be
grow?
Like
are you talking about you want to invest in retirement? Are we talking about growing your income?
Yeah, in the medical community, unchecked growth is called cancer. So if you just wake up every day and like, I gotta grow, like you're gonna implode. What are you trying to aim? What are you aiming for? What are you trying to get to?
I just I want to grow as a business person. I want to be able to create generational wealth. And like I know some people might feel like I've already done that, but like I just feel like I still have so much more to accomplish.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah, so grinding essentially is okay. I encourage it. Definitely be a workaholic, work hard. I mean, God, another like one of the part of the reason why we're here and we believe is that we are created to work, and whether it's we're working for this world, the dunya, or the akhirah, so the hereafter. So yeah, essentially grind, but don't forget the purpose in mind. I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to have a goal. You cannot compare yourself to those around you and say that's my goal. I need to be better than everybody else. Everyone's good at something. Not everybody's going to be good at the same thing, and you need to just compare yourself with who you were the previous year. So long as you have your priorities straight, and like if you said, I'm doing this for my family, I'm just trying to they're my goal. Like I want to be able to provide above and beyond for them. That's a very noble, good goal to have, and just make sure you set that at the forefront. Like they'll discuss here in a moment. A lot of people, use working or grinding as a means of distraction from an internal problem going on. So let's keep watching here.
But it sounds like you're running from something. What are you running from? Because listen, Dave Ramsey is worth a god awful amount of money, and he is obsessed pathologically with helping hurting people. And money is just a byproduct of this obsession to help people be free.
There you go. See, that's Dave Ramsey's principle. So if you have a goal like that, like a set goal, like don't just be selfish. Usually the best goals are the ones that you're doing for essentially others, like helping others. That is also very noble and very great to do. I'll even go a step further. Like if you just, no matter if you're doing it for your family or to help great good people, at the end of the day, everything that you do has to be for the sake of Allah. So if that is your first goal, main goal, just making Allah your main focus, that's enough of a goal. Never ever be self-absorbed. It's very selfish, saying I just want to be rich so I can have money, whatever. Always make Allah the goal. Say I want to be rich so that I can be closer to Allah and spend in His way, the halal way, and everything like that. And inshallah, you will be blessed with more. So
you have an obsession right now with I got to get more, and I got to get more, and I got to get more. And usually for guys like you, that comes at the expense of their families, of their romantic partners, of their kids, of their health, of everything.
And that's true. Me and my wife had some problems a couple of years ago, and I realigned my priorities with my family, and that's gotten a lot better. And we're everything got fixed, and we're a lot happy, and we're.
Bro, how I know everything didn't get fixed? Because I've been married for 20-something years. It doesn't just. It's not like a car engine. It's something you continue to grow together with. What's your ultimate question? What are you running from? What are you scared of?
No, I think
What is driving the insatiable need for growth? It sounds like you watched a Grant Cardone video and now you're just like, bro, I got a 10X. I got a 10X. Like what's behind this?
You make $400,000 a year. Exhale.
I don't know if it's competition, and I'm not envious of anybody, but I look at my peers and I feel like I should be doing better.
That's the definition of envy. That's what it is.
What I mean.
Therein lies a problem, ladies and gentlemen. You'll never feel self-fulfilled if you're doing things for the sake of others. So
it's like what I'm trying to say is like I'm not mad at what they have. I just I'm happy for them, and I'd like to learn. I like to hear people talk that do better than me. I want to learn. It's not that I wish them bad or I want I want to I'm angry at them. It's nothing like that. It's just it's like I'm competitive that way in this regard.
All right, here's your homework. You ready for your homework? You're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Promise me. Say, I promise I'll do whatever you tell me.
I promise I'll do what you tell me.
All right. You just said that in front of millions of people. If you lie, you'll probably get struck by lightning. Probably not, but it's just fun to say that. All right. Number one, you cannot get on TikTok or Instagram for 30 days.
Mm-hmm. I don't do those anyway.
I'm just telling you. Number one, no social media for 30 days. Number two, You have to go for a walk with your wife in the morning or in the evening with no phones, no devices for at least 30 minutes every day for 30 days. Number 2, how many kids you got?
4.
Number 3, how many kids you got?
I got 4.
You have 4 kids? How old?
I got twins that are 4 and then a 5 and a 6-year-old.
Okay. When I ask you what you're running from, one of the most common questions I hear, or common answers I get from high-performing dads, and when I say high-performing, high-earner dads, is that they look at the chaos at home and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to be a dad of 4 kids. They don't know how to be a husband of a wife with 4 kids. It's just chaos. And they think in their heads, the greatest gift I could give my family is to not be here and instead go make money. And if you are making money to help people, if you're making money to change a generational situation, go get it.
Yep.
If you're hiding from your family, stop.
Yeah, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't grind for the sake of avoidance, but grind for righteous reasons to help others, things like that, and never forget Allah in the process. But yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on in today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, definitely give me a thumbs up, and just let the algorithm knows that you enjoyed this content. And yeah, from there, I will see you guys in the next episode. We will go ahead and tackle more topics similar to these. But yeah, without further ado, take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one. So, do you have a minute to connect? Let's connect. That's right, guys. I'm officially on Minect now. You guys can go ahead and book me. I will be offering financial as well as career coaching based off of the Dave Ramsey principles, of course. So yeah, feel free to contact me, connect with me on Minect, and I look forward to speaking with each and every single one of you.